This question comes from a local cattle farmer. Over the past decade, federal regulation has increased financial pressure on cattle farmers. A few years ago, farmers could obtain medicines to treat livestock over the counter at the feed and supply stores. Now, obtaining these same medications requires transporting an 800-pound animal to the vet. You got to pay the vet bill, you got the labor, the time, the fuel, and the stress on the animal. But thanks to Washington, we cannot obtain routine livestock medications without going to this trouble and expense. What will you do in Washington to help small ranchers and farmers? And Ms. Charlotte, it's your turn.
Thank you. If I'm correct, I think that medicine that the government and various people don't want the farmers to have access to is ivermectin, which was proven to be a good form of medication that was necessary to address major issues that the cattle and the cattle farmers needed to use in order to protect their animals. Now, what would I do? First of all, I would get government out of the way. That is extremely essential. I will also make sure that the farmers will be able to have such a lifestyle that they will be able to afford the things that they need in order to take care of their cattle. That would mean making sure the regulations are reduced, making sure that taxes are reduced so that people will have extra revenue in order to take care of their cattle, to take care of their farms, to take care of their home and their livestock. I think it's imperative that we understand that our nation cannot survive without our farmers doing the jobs that they need. And when it comes to having cattle and not being able to export the cattle as needed in order to gain the extra revenue that they need, it puts an impediment on every single thing that a farmer or someone would want to do in order to protect their livestock.
So we're small cattle producers ourselves, and I don't think this is an exclusive issue for United States government overreach. The common theme on a lot of these answers is going to be that we have to deregulate and get government out of our business, okay? So you can rewind all the way back to the 1980s when everybody around here saw cattle farms thriving, especially dairy farms, and then you watched the United States government come in and systematically shut down cattle farms, especially the dairy farms, to gain almost exclusive government control over those operations. And that systematically took away the right for people to farm at a lower level over the 1980s, 1990s, and now into the 2026. So when I go to the co-op and I buy my feed and I look at our price and cost ratios, even with a small head count, we don't turn a profit anymore. I don't know how you guys do it on a bigger level, but what I do see is the federal government coming in time after time, catering to corporate farmers and leaving small farmers in the dark. And what I would do as a United States congressman is get out in front of the USDA and other federal agencies and tell them to get out of your lives, deregulate, cut back, and make it a little bit more affordable, a little bit more able to manage small head farms and even small row crops. I think that's where we have to be, is in a deregulation state of mind. Whichever one of us gets the job has to go to DC with a deregulation initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. The crux of the question deals with regulation. And in the state Senate, I've dealt with regulatory reform. We passed that legislation earlier this session. I was one of the co-sponsors of that legislation. And I was also on the Government Operations Committee for the first 2 years I was in the Senate. And I will tell you, when the commissioners were coming before us to have their rules approved, I held them accountable to ensure that these regulations were first necessary, and what regulations have you cut in order to make room for the new regulation. Many times they haven't. And one of the things that I want to do is to ensure that Congress has the Tennessee model. In Tennessee, every regulatory board, when they promulgate rules, it has to be approved by the legislature through the Government Operations Committee. And I would recommend that in Congress we do the same thing. Right now, when the regulatory boards pass regulations. Congress can only overturn it by taking a vote to overturn it. What I would do is we need to invert that and follow the Tennessee model, where when those regulations are promulgated, that they don't go into effect until Congress has actually put their stamp of approval on it. And the other thing is, I have worked and fought to deal with deregulation of wetlands. And you should not treat, no longer in Tennessee do we treat tractor ruts the way we do the Hatchie River bottom. And that's the type of deregulation that I want to do when I go to Congress.
Next question.
He hasn't been.
Oh, Todd, sorry, I forgot
That's
you were
okay,
down there. That's my
Mr.
fault.
Richards.
Go ahead.
It's okay. Again, my answer would be some of the same of what we've already heard. We've got to get government away from the farms altogether. I grew up on a small dairy farm in the early 80s and watched my family farm their way out of the dairy business. And a lot of it was to do with government and the regulations that they put on it. Also, milk, got a lot of competition now. You see oat milk, you see almond milk, you see every kind of milk out there. So that's partly to blame, but the government has got to get out of the way. We have something going on right now down in Texas, some of you may have heard about, and I'm sure you beef farmers are concerned about. It's that screwworm that's down there that enters through a baby calf's navel or whatnot. And it's a flesh-eating fly. Starts out as a maggot and turns into a fly. And it will actually eat the animal from the inside out. So that's something we got to be very, very careful here and make sure that we don't get that fly up into Tennessee, or it's in Texas. It don't need to get out of Texas. But it's things like that we gotta see after. But the days of government putting regulation on the farmers, it's gotta stop. The margins are too thin. We know what the inputs cost us right now, the fertilizer, the seed, the diesel. But yet we're still selling the same crop for prices that sold back in the 90s. We've got to turn that around. We've got to have someone that's going to fight for those ideas. Thank you.